Hi, everybody. So, getting into some kind of seventh grade math, want to start with a little bit of a review here. Our first unit is about proportional relationships, so looking at ratios, rates, and circles. Hopefully, these words are a little familiar to you because you've done them in sixth grade math. But in seventh grade math, we're going to build a little bit on these words and these ideas. Starting off, though, I want to review one of these big ideas, which is what the word ratio means in the first place, what it looks like, which is something that you saw last year in math. So go ahead and make sure that you're on this page in your notebook as well. And we're going to first, for this page, just type in, using the keyboard, some information about the word ratio. So the first thing it tells us to do is type the teacher's definition, followed by a definition in your own words. So you can click there, you can hit enter once or twice to give yourself a little bit of space away from the directions. And we're going to write the definition of ratio. A ratio is a comparison of two quantities by division. Remember always that you can pause if I'm getting ahead of you so that you can then stop and kind of catch up back with me. So comparison of two quantities by division. So quantities is really just a fancy way to say things. And so we're going to compare two things using division. So what you are going to do now is kind of in your own words, explain what this means. So comparison of two quantities by division. Go ahead and pause the video now so you can fill that part in, and then go ahead and unpause once you're done putting it in your own words. Okay, welcome back. So you should have something filled in here that is in your words. Next, we're going to list the characteristic traits and qualities of this word. So again, I clicked in the box, I hit enter, and here's some things to know about it. I'm going to make a list, so I'm going to use the dash, which is by the 0, and I'll say that can write a ratio using, you have a couple of choices. So can write a ratio using TO, so the word 2, or you can use a colon. So to make a colon on the keyboard, you got to hold shift and press the button that's next to L. Or you can use a bar like a fraction. So on the keyboard here, we're just going to use the line, which is 3 buttons over from your M. Then I'm going to hit enter. And the other thing about ratios is that they can include fractions. So that's something that actually makes ratios different than fractions. Because in fraction world, you're not allowed to say 1/4, 1/2. That doesn't make sense. But in ratio worlds, you can, and same thing with decimals as well. The next thing we're going to do is include some examples of the word. So that would be something like 2, I'll use the word 2, 5, or 1/2, I'll use a colon this time, or 6, and I can use the fraction line, and 1. So remember, the fraction line is 3 away from your M, and the colon, you're going to press shift and then the button next to the L. So your choice, doesn't matter which way you write them, whatever makes your heart happy, go for it. In the last box, we're going to write some non-examples of the word, so things that aren't ratios. One of those things would be just a number, like say 25. Because when we talked about ratios in the definition, it said it was a comparison of two quantities. So 25, That's not two quantities, that's just one. The other thing that we're not going to do when we do ratios is do something like 2 comma 5. The reason that we don't do that is because 2 comma 5 is for something else. We use that for ordered pairs, which means something else in math. So it'd be confusing if we tried to use it for ratios too. So you want to stick to TO, colon, or the line, but again, your choice. So the next thing that I want to have you go ahead and do is actually go to the next page in your notebook. And we're going to go ahead and do a little bit of practice of some of the ideas about ratios that hopefully you remember from last year. So this one we're going to write on our screen so that we can show some work or kind of circle some of our keywords. So remember to do that. You're going to click on it. You're going to right click. You're going to go save to keep. When it appears, we'll click it and go again with the square with the open to open it. Then when I find my picture, I click it and then I can click it again. And I want to see this pen up here. Then with the pen, we can go ahead and drop down, pick what size. I usually like to pick about a middle size. You could pick what color. So this time I feel like writing in blue. But you can write whatever color you want as long as you can read it. So the first one says, jar contains 15 marbles, of which 16 are blue and 3 are red and the rest are green. So what's the ratio of blue marbles to green marbles? So it says here it has to be blue to green. One thing to remember with ratios is it's really important to keep it in the right order. So if it's blue to green, I'm going blue to green. And so I need to find those numbers from the problem. So blue, that part's easy. It's set up here. 16 are blue, so I could put in 16. Oops. I used a colon. Like I said before, you can use what you like. Then we need to figure out how many were green. So 16 were blue, 3 are red, the rest are green. So I know that 16 are blue and 3 are red. And so that 16 plus 3 is 19. So 19 are either blue or red, which means the rest are green. So getting up to 25, that would be 25 minus 19, which equals 6. So it would be 16 to 6 is my final answer. Number 2, same kind of idea. A herd of 21 horses has 3 white and some black horses. What's the ratio of black horses to all horses? So we need black to all. So black horses, again, is a little trickier because it's some black horses. So we had 21, 3 were white. So kind of like we did before, 21 minus 3, and I get 18. So 18 black horses. And then all the horses, it was this herd of 21. So it would be 21, and that would be my answer. Technically on both of these we could simplify, but since the problem didn't say that we had to, I won't do it in this particular one. For number 3, it says circle the true statements if there are 2 cats and 8 dogs. So important to note that 2 goes with cats and 8 goes with dogs. So we have to watch in these answer choices that those numbers go together. So here we got 8 cats and we got 2 dogs. So 8 went with cats, 2 went with dogs. That's not how it's in the problem. So that one is no good. Next one, ratio of cats to dogs is 2 to 8. So cats came first, so 2 came first. So cats and 2 go together. That's how it is. So we're good to go with letter B circling. Next one, ratio of dogs to cats is 8 to 2. So dogs came first and 8 came first. And dogs and 8 go together. So that one is also true. So they flipped both orders. They flipped cats and dogs and they flipped the 8 and the 2. The last one says ratio of cats to dogs is 8 to 2. Cats came first, 8 came first, doesn't match up. So that one's no good either. In our last practice question here, we're talking about equivalent ratios. So those are ratios that mean the same thing, even though they don't look the same because they have different numbers in them. So if we had a ratio of 1 to 2, I had one thing, you had 2 of something. We could have something that's a similar comparison if you had 4 of something, but which is more than the 2 from the original, but then I also had a corresponding amount more. And so when we try to make equivalent ratios, we're either going to multiply or divide. So from here, I can see that 2 to get to 4 is times 2. So then I'm going to go 1 times 2. And so this blank would be 2. Here I'm going to go ahead and change my color so I can do the next part. So I'll pick purple. You can pick again what you want as long as you can see. I'm going to do the same thing. So now that we have the first number filled in, which is 3. So 1 to get to 3 is times 3. So I got to do 2 times 3, which is 6. And then I can change up my color again here. Hit run. So this time, same idea, 4 to something. So 1 to get to 4 is times 4. So 2 times 4 would be 8. Now, I'm going to go ahead and pause for a second, and I want you to see if you can do these last two before I go and fill them in. So go ahead and pause your video, try to do the last two without me, and then we'll check together. Okay, so let's check these ones here. This one, we have the second number that's filled in. So 2 times 5 is 10. So 1 times 5 would be 5. Oops. There we go. And last but not least, we have the last number filled in 12. So 2 to get to 12 is times 6. So 1 times 6 is 6. Sorry. And that is your basic ratio idea here. So we're going to go ahead and hit the back button up here. We can go ahead and close this Google Keep tab that pulled up. Now you should see your work over here. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this one. Then this one we can drag on over. Or if it's being slow like mine, you can always right click, copy image, come over here, right click, paste. And we can kind of make it a little bigger so it's easier to read. And there are your notes for the day. Nice job. See you tomorrow.